Welcome to the round number 5 of the London Chess Classic Open 2025. We have Praggnanandhaa there on our screens. He's on 3.5 out of 4. He's playing against GM Tamas Fodor Jr. of Hungary. And Pragg is right now having an even position out of the opening. His opponent has just moved his rook to e1, putting pressure down the e file. Also, the bishop is nicely placed on this diagonal. So Pragg goes queen to c7. He moves his queen and connects his rooks here. Already looking pretty good for Pragg this position. Fodor Tamas comes back and brings his knight to e5, putting pressure on g6, f7. Now Pragg has a very interesting idea. He can take here, and play bishop c5, because after e takes f6, g3 is hanging. So that's just a very, very nice idea. But instead, he goes knight to b6 here. He doesn't play that. And this can get a bit tricky because Fodor plays bishop to b3. And now the knight is very strong in the center. Well, maybe you can put one of your knights on d5. That could be one of the ideas here. But Pragg goes bishop to b4, attacking the rook on e1. And he goes back bishop d2, offering to trade the bishops. I guess after takes, white is happy. So Pragg goes back bishop d6. And now the knight is put a bit under pressure because takes, rook e5 is a threat. So f4 to fix the knight in the center of the board. And now Praggnanandhaa, well, has to be very, very careful because there are many ideas like h4, h5 coming up. He goes nb d5, very good move. And clearly now if you try for h4, I have some very dangerous ideas with queen b6, attacking here, pressure here. So this time you have to be careful. So knight b d5, and Fodor plays queen to f3, a good move, putting pressure here. Once again, Pragg needs to be careful because f5 is coming up. Could be very, very scary. For example, if f5 here, you have queen b6, which is a very powerful move once again. So queen f3, he goes h6, making square for the bishop. And now rook e2 played. Because if you were to take knight g6, fg6, there's pressure here, which you don't want. So rook e2. And now Praggnanandhaa is thinking about what to play here. And he plays bishop h7, puts his bishop back, presses the clock, writes down his move, waits for his opponent to come back, and offers a draw. And Fodor Tamas thinks for a bit and agrees to a draw. Well, the position is slightly better for white, and it's a fair decision by Pragg. He's a bit shocked there, but... And, well, right now, Pragg moves to 4 points out of 5. He was 3 out of 3. Then he drew with Pranav Anand. Now drew with Fodor Tamas. So 4 out of 5. Meanwhile, Pranav Anand scored a huge win against Daniel Yufa to move into sole lead with 4.5 out of 5. The day had a double round, another round which was played there. And so Praggnanandhaa had the white pieces. This time his opponent was, let's have a look at that game, but it was not on the live board. So let's have a look. So we have only the first board game which is recorded and we get it. But Pragg, unfortunately, in round number 6 moved to board number 2. Pranav Anand was on board 1. He was taking on Velimir Ivic. And Pragg was facing Eytan Rozen. He is an IM from Israel. And let's have a look at this game, how it went. Pragg opens with e4. We have the Sicilian, knight f3, d6, takes, and we saw the Najdorf. I was very curious to see what Pragg responds to this. He goes for the g3 line, which is very solid. g6, bishop g2, and black takes the dragon setup here, which is considered to be quite a good one, with the bishop looking down this diagonal. White castles, black castles, h3 played a useful move if you want to bring your bishop to e3 because knight g4 is stopped. Bishop d7 in order to prepare knight c6. If you play it directly, there are chances of taking and pushing e5 sometimes, and you know the bishop opens up here, which is the reason why at this point he first began with bd7, bishop e3, knight c6, knight d2, rook c8, and now this very cool move, knight to d5. And you will see that this bishop protects the pawn. You want to put your knight on d5, b5 played, and now rook c1 to break with the move c4. He plays the move b4, and now Pragg makes this very nice move, b3. And with this move, he's kind of fixing the structure. And let's say, for example, you try to come in here and attack on a2. It's not very important because I'm going to go c4 nonetheless. And after b takes c3, let's say, for example, you get greedy and you take this pawn. This is already bad because your queen is going to get trapped here. Rook a1, queen b2, and now a very, very cool move, knight e7, knight e7, and bishop d4, trapping the queen. So that didn't happen in the game. He played a5, and now Pragg naturally played the move. He could have played c4 directly, but he did it on the next move. c3 takes and rook c3, and white is clearly better because of the play on the queen side, the pressure on e7, and also the weakness of the a5 pawn. Knight went back, attacking the rook here. By the way, just so that you know, if takes, I have e takes d5. You can take my rook, but I'll take with the knight, defending this pawn, and I'm going to win back one of your pieces. So he goes knight d7, rook c2, knight c5, rook to d1, knight to e5 played, and now knight d4. So bishop goes back to d7. And now Pragg plays queen e2. So he's just shuffling his pieces before going for that final move. e6 may feel like you're kicking the knight away, but remember your d6 pawn is now weakened. Goes here, knight b5, immediately attacking here. Knight b7, trying to defend, but now Pragg has the tactics on his side. Boom, knight a7, rook b8, and the other knight jumps in. He takes. Now the rook is planning to enter in. So he plays rook c8, doubling down the c file, queen d7, and boom, rook c7, queen e8, and now bishop a7. What a nice move this is. Rook a8 kind of forced. Point being, you can't take here because your rook is hanging on c1. But rook c2, what a cool move, because you can't take here. It's a fork. And now I'm threatening to take on b7. So he took anyway. He took queen d8, took here, and bishop e3. And here, Eytan Rozen resigned. Praggnanandhaa scored a very nice win. With this win, Pragg moved into the lead in the tournament once again with 5 out of 6. Velimir Ilić managed to beat Pranav Anand. It was a crazy game of chess. I'll try to bring that game as well on our channel. But 5 out of 6 for Velimir Ilić and Praggnanandhaa with 3 rounds to go. This is going to be an exciting finish, especially with Pragg taking on Velimir Ilić, the second seed of the tournament. Everything to play for.